Joe! ジョーの野郎。鬼姫が完全にぶっ潰しやがって。
Oh my god. Hello everyone, welcome to Joe Consumes Cinema. I'm your host, Getting Back on Your Feet. And today we have Ashita no Joe, episode 69. Nice. And yeah, really cool episode last time. So I had this narrative in my head, right, about this whole underground boxing thing. That it was just going to be this rough and tumble place. Joe was going to be getting, fouled and, punched in the balls and, all this other stuff and these really fights that just weren't too concerned with rules and stuff like that, and was going to be very detrimental to Joe because he was just going to be constantly getting beat up over and over again for, peanuts basically. But they didn't go that route with it. Instead, the big thing with this underground circuit is the fights are fixed to, give the fans their entertainment, big finish even when it's not at all there. And Joe, of course, has a big problem with this. He wanted the more rough and tumble experience. He was hoping for guys trying to kill him outright, and it isn't what's happening. So it's very clear that Joe is a level or two above just about everyone there, except for this Inaba guy, who is very interesting. He used to be the number 2 ranked featherweight or lightweight, I forget which weight class he was listed in, but he's bigger than Joe, either way. Joe's a bantamweight, and this guy seems legit. He actually fought Joe, and, gave him a pretty tough fight initially, first round or so, and then Joe started to really pick it up and, got the better of him. And then he knocked him out with an uppercut. And here's the thing is, Joe threw that punch really hard, really mean to the head. It was a true KO shot. And after he landed it, he was stunned, not realizing what had happened. Inaba was pushing him so much that he had to, give it back to him as good as he could, potentially do. And he was really fighting, at his level for the first time in a long time, and just not thinking about anything else. So he threw a punch with mean intention. And it landed and, caused a KO. Joe was stunned by it in the moment, and then he didn't throw up or anything like that. So that's the first really positive thing that has happened. After the fight, he had a conversation with the guy, and Inaba basically told him, you're not going to be around here much longer. I can tell the difference between, someone who's an active fighter, has real potential, and, the rest of the guys who are basically just doing this to get a paycheck. They all have, their sad sob story. I'm very curious what his is, by the way, because if he was number 2 and then he ends up in a place like this, something, pretty messed up probably had to happen to him for him to get to this point. I'm kind of hoping this episode goes over it, but yeah, not at all where I thought we'd be, and just in a way better place, and things are turning in a positive direction for real for the first time in forever now. So I'm hoping we can wrap up this, underground boxing thing, that whole storyline, in an episode or two, and then Joe can come back. And then Carlos is probably going to get active, and we're going to see his first fight. Maybe this episode, maybe next one. But yeah, I'm eager to get to it, so let's just get right to it. Sando bagani kao mega ake tatake 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 ashite wa kito ashite wa dochida. Looks like they're in northern Japan based on that map. Lullaby of the Ranch. Beautiful landscape. I did not expect this. Quick reminder to like, comment, share, subscribe. Also consider signing up for my Patreon. For $1 per month, you get access to all my exclusive reactions, also a guaranteed movie request. With that, let's get right back to the reaction.
Yahoo! なあ、稲ちゃんよ、頂上までどのくらいで行けるかな。せっかくここまで来たんじゃないか。これ頂上へ行ってみようぜ。
Joe's the type of guy that climbs Mount Everest, and when asked why, he says, "'Cause it's there."
どうやら道に迷ったらしいな。それに間もなく日が暮れるぞ。
That just looks awesome.
こうやって真っ白な霧に巻かれると、まるで極楽か天国で飲んでる豪勢な気分だね。暗くなる前に、わらちょいと野宿できそうな場所を探してくれ。
Oh shit. Sudden drop off. Yummy Ranch.
もう気がついたのね。
崖から落ちたお前は助けてくれたな。
ゆりっていうの。よろしくね。
Joe likes her.
俺ちょっと顔洗ってくれて。
Oh shit.
この牧場をおふくろさんと二人っきりでやってんのかい。大変だな。俺は先に帰ってるが。いいな。絶対に無理はしねえでゆっくり治療するんだぜ。足はボクサーの命だからな。あれあれ。
Don't do that. That's a bull. Making a cast.
思い出しておくれ。
やっそ、母さんだよ。
What the hell? Is that why Joe picked this place? Because he's been here before?
おかえりなさい。
Okay, I think this lady just has Alzheimer's.
ジョーやそう兄さんと間違えるなんて。最近遠くのものが見えないんだよ。
Oh, okay.
俺なんかすぐ人違いだって分かったもんね。だってさ、俺におふくろなんかいるはずねえんだもん。
ジョー。母ちゃん。ジョー。
Hmm. You know, the fact that Joe is an orphan doesn't actually come up all that much.
母ちゃん。
Hmm.
本当に大丈夫？
大丈夫だって。よいしょ。よっとっとっとっとっと。平気平気。あらやった。
Wish he'd just follow instructions for once. Like, he probably can physically do this, but why take the risk?
何か作ろうものがあったら持ってらっしゃいな。
本当ですか。よろしくお願いします。あ、
そのボクシングのグローブはあなたのですか？
ええ。
こんな田舎でうずもれるのは嫌だ。東京に出てプロボクサーになってお金を稼ぐんだって言ってね。
Okay, that's why.
母さんたら兄さんのことがあって以来ボクシングって聞くとすぐアポカンとなっちゃうのよ。ジョーによく謝っといてって言ってたわ。ジョーが私の兄さんになってくれたらとても嬉しいわ。
It's a really nice place and all, but Joe has a purpose and he's not giving that up for anybody. It is tempting, though. What the hell? Bandits?
待って、そのお金を牛を買う大事な。
Well, Joe's gonna kill these assholes.
へへ、山ん中の一軒家、母と娘の二人っきり。こいつは手軽に金になると思いきやだ。この牧場にはな、天で強いお兄さんがちょっとわらじを脱いでいなさるんだ。やっちまえ。
Here we go. These idiots don't know how to fight. Nice. Nice. Good. I love this.
矢吹さん、もうそれ以上ぶたないでおくれ。
Is that
何
Yasso?
言ってんのよ。あいつはね、牧場の大事なお金を。お前にはわからないのか。
Oh my god, that's so messed up. Jesus.
バカだね、お前。自分の家に盗みに入る人がいますか。さあ、持っておき。お金が入りようだったんだろ。いいんだよ、元気でさえいてくれれば。
Oh god.
やっぱり兄さん。
That's just messed up.
母さん。
もうどこへも行かないよ。
ありがとう、矢吹さん。
俺も本当は牧場にずっといたかったんだけど、いろいろ考えたら俺にもやることがあるもんで、追伸安尾君へ、おふくろさんを大事にしてくれよ。
Oh yeah. Okay, took some time just to gather my thoughts. That was episode 69. I really like this episode. So things start off with Joe and Anaba just kind of, doing their own thing. They stop at this train station, they get off, and I guess they have some time in between their next location where they have to work. So they climb up this mountain, Joe's request. Joe is definitely one of those types of people that just does things just to experience it. And this is very much in that vein. Now, the atmosphere is really cool. The scenery is amazing. I probably would do something like this too if I, just happened upon this village or whatever. And at first, everything's going really well. They're really enjoying themselves. Joe wants to go up this, higher peak or whatever, and they get in this woods and it's like really misty and foggy. And Joe's like, just stay here. I'll, go find a camping spot. He goes off and then falls. He can't see where he's going, so he trips and, falls off a cliff, it looks like. Hurts his foot, but he's going to be okay, mostly just bruising for the most part. This nearby girl and her mother, who hold like a cattle ranch farm, take them in and, kind of nurse Joe back to health. Anabe goes ahead, gets back on the train and goes to the next location for the underground boxing club. Joe stays back and, rests up, and it's cool because there's a moment where the mother mistakes Joe for her son. And, despite the fact that Joe is an orphan, it doesn't really come up a whole lot in the story. And Joe had a dream where, he's remembering a moment when, he first was on his own. He's like walking through the cold, and he imagines, I guess, his mother screaming out to him. He never met his mother. He doesn't know, who she is or anything like that. But he still misses her. So, that connection and the fact that, it's not something that gets brought up a whole lot in the story, kind of powerful stuff. And like Joe was crying in his sleep while having this dream. They keep talking about how, the son who went away to pursue a, boxing dream of his own, they haven't heard from him. He's, very distant. And all of a sudden the next day, some robbers show up, and it's like, who could it be other than the son? He's wearing a face mask to try and hide his true identity, but the mother recognizes him. Joe beats up the robbers. Yasuo has a knife, and it doesn't help him at all. Despite the fact that Joe has that injury, he looks fine. He was in good form, just beat everybody's ass. The mother, recognizing her son, just decides to give him the money anyway, even though he came here to steal it. And he goes off, like, kind of says his goodbye, but then decides he can't do that and reunites. And it's a cool little moment. So this story isn't really central to anything. It's probably one of those episodes you could skip and not have it, affect anything really. But I actually really enjoyed the episode. It just had a cool atmosphere, a little cool self-contained story. And, Joe's back on the train ride. He wrote them a letter saying, it was somewhat tempting to stay and, like, live in this peaceful place. Like, I could fully understand that myself. But, he has this dream that he really wants to pursue, and, nothing's going to stop him, so he has to get back to it. Now, I'm guessing next episode we're going to get reunited with, the whole underground boxing club. Anaba went ahead, so he's already there by now, probably. Maybe one more episode with this whole, underground boxing storyline, and then I think Joe might come back, reunite with, Dangpei and Nishi, and that should be really cool. But yeah, I just want to find out what happens next, and I'm going to get right to that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So as always, thanks for watching, and peace.